Hey, and welcome to video number 6. We're going to talk about webinar replay scarcity. I want to briefly run through this strategy here, but basically when I say scarcity, I mean that you want to put some sort of time limit on the webinar replay. You don't want it to run forever. So if your goal is to push the sale, you obviously want to use scarcity. But the question remains is how long should you show the replay? Well, generally speaking, you only want to show the webinar replay for about half a week or 1 week max. And you will basically want to do this because you want to give people an opportunity for those folks that attended the webinar to go back, watch the webinar replay, and take some more notes. Or for those that didn't get an opportunity to attend the webinar, you'll give them about a week or even 72 hours to take the initiative to watch the replay and get some great content. Now, you've got to own up to your own word. If you say that you're going to take it down in 72 hours, you've got to take it down in 72 hours. Otherwise, your list, your audience in the future they're not going to take your word for it. So what you're doing essentially is you're honoring your word, number one. And number two, you can condition them so that in the future they will take you seriously. Now, you could technically close it down for 72 hours, maybe a couple months later, if you get some requests for it, you could always open it up for maybe 24 hours as a special. But for that time being, you definitely want to close it when you say you close it. Now, I know you're also thinking, well, how do I set my webinar replay up? Like, what kind of landing page should I set it up for higher conversions? Well, it really doesn't have to be complex at all. In fact, what has shown to work is simplicity. The more simple it is, the better. So what we found that works is to have the video up at the top. And then of course, what works even better is if you remove the player controls if possible. And you can do this with Vimeo Pro, for example. You can use it with Wistia and other video hosting sites as well. But Vimeo Pro is a really good deal. It's $199 a year. You get unlimited HD quality plays. It also renders it as standard definition quality as well. But if somebody has a high fast connection, they can click the HD button and they'll be able to see the video super clear. But with Vimeo Pro, they give you unlimited plays, which is nice. And about, I believe, many gigs of space, about 20 gigabytes of space per week, which is a lot. So video up at the top, remove the player controls, and place the buy button down below. Now, the button delay is optional. You can test it out, see what works the best. But generally speaking, if somebody doesn't have access to the player controls, they are required to watch the webinar from start to finish. So that's merely up to you. If you know your audience the best, it's always good to test. Countdown timers. Countdown timers, put this at the very top of your landing page, will definitely help. So do a countdown for scarcity to bring in sales, but you want to take it down immediately afterwards to condition people to take you seriously. Now, back in the day when I was using countdown timers, what I realized is that the majority of countdown timers are just countdown timers. So you have to wait till when it ends to manually go and take it down, which is a pain. In my testing, I've used countdownmonkey.com, and I'll actually show you countdownmonkey.com and how it works. But basically, it's got many different options that you can take. You can set it as an evergreen countdown timer. So you could do 72 hours if you had like not a live, but an automated webinar. You could do 72 hours evergreen. what it does is it sets a cookie in the user's computer. So when the person arrives, it's unique to every person. So you can set evergreen countdown timers or real-time countdown timers. And these are great simply because you can redirect the traffic when the countdown timer ends. So if you had another offer that was similar to the webinar perhaps, or similar to that subject matter, then you could redirect them to another webinar that's similar, or another product, or a special discount that is similar. So that way you're still monetizing the traffic. 1minutesites.com is also good for creating landing pages with timers. And it's kind of like lead pages, but 1 Minute Sites is really, really powerful to use. So with that said, let me pause this video and hop on over to my browser, and I will show you how Countdown Monkey works. Alright, so I logged into my Countdown Monkey account, and as you can see, I have a bunch of countdowns here that I am currently using right now. I like Countdown Monkey because it's super easy to use. I've spent money on 10, 11, 20, a lot of different countdown timers over the years trying to figure this out. The one main problem that a lot of countdown timers have is that they either are not compatible with iPhones, iPads, and so forth, and they do not have a feature that allows you to redirect my traffic or do something else when the countdown timer expires. So let's just go through here. You can choose a text style, text color, background, animation style, countdown size, language, label color. I'm not going to deal with that right now, but countdown name, we'll just call this webinar test. You can do countdown type, either a real time or evergreen. Evergreen meaning that somebody lands on my landing page, they will see a 72 countdown timer. Customer 2 comes 5 days later, and they will see a 72-hour countdown timer. So that's what we call evergreen. These are good for webinar replays in this case. And then of course we have the real live countdown. So that's real time. So everybody sees the exact same timer. So you can do evergreen and date and time. So with the real time, let's say for example that we want to do November, let's say we'll start it on Monday. So we'll just do it for 3 days, and we'll end it on November 6, 2014. And then we have the time zone here. Choose Eastern time. And then expiry action basically tells countdown timer what we want to do when the countdown timer ends. So do you want to do nothing? Which I would not do nothing. I would do something. You can hide the counter. I generally like to pick add an instant redirect. So I can redirect all the traffic to somewhere else. So when somebody hits that timer and it's hit 0, they're sent immediately to a different page. So that's really, really powerful because you can monetize that traffic. A lot of times in the past, what would happen is you just see a message that says, sorry, offer end. And people are like, oh, darn, I missed it. But if you redirect them to something related, then you could potentially monetize that traffic. You can also add a day or even add a custom time. What that will do is it'll add time on top of that time. But I would say this one is probably the big one. Well, that said, let's move on to the next video, and I'm going to talk about some after webinar follow-up email templates. So you can jot those down, get ready to take out your pen and paper, or get ready to type this up because we're going to go over some swipe files